In a small rural village at the foot of a mountain lived an old water carrier named Haruto. Every morning, before the sun rose, Haruto got up from his straw bed and headed towards the river, with the wooden stick on his shoulders and two large blocks of terracotta hanging on the sides. He walked a winding path that crossed fields and hills until he reached the stream. The two blocks that Haruto used were very different from each other. One was perfectly intact, without any imperfection, and was able to hold all the water that Haruto collected. The other, on the other hand, had a viscous crack on the side that made it imperfect, despite the fact that the carrier filled both blocks to the brim. When he went back, the inclined block always arrived with less than half the water with which it had started. This happened day after day, year after year. The inclined block, aware of its defect, felt a deep sadness and shame. He felt that he was not up to the task, that he could not serve his master as the perfect block did. Every time Haruto stopped to rest along the way, the inclined block observed his reflection in the river water and felt useless. "Why does my master continue to use me?" he asked. "I am nothing but a burden to him. I cannot do what I was created for." One day, overwhelmed by guilt, the block decided to break the silence. As Haruto returned from the river, the inclined block spoke to him in a broken voice. "Master, I want to ask you for forgiveness. I have served you for 2 years, but my defect makes me unable to hold all the water you take. Every time, along the way, I lose much of my content. I am not like the other block, which manages to bring all the water to the village. I am not worthy of being used. Why do you continue to use me?" Haruto stopped and looked at the block with sweetness. He was a simple man, and of few words, but there was a deep wisdom in his tired gaze. After a moment of silence, he smiled and said, "Why should I replace you? You are special, and even your defect has a value that you may not be able to see. You never asked yourself why. Along the path, there are flowers only on your side and not on the other." The inclined block remained silent, confused by the words of the carrier. "You know," Haruto continued, "when I noticed your cramp for the first time, I realized that you were losing water along the whole journey. So, instead of seeing you as a problem, I decided to take advantage of your particularity. I planted flowers along the path on your side, and every day, while we return from the river, you unconsciously offer them to the people of the village." Your efforts are not in vain. Even if you think you are failing in bringing all the water to the village, you are giving much more beauty, colors, and joy to anyone who walks this road. The inclined block remained speechless. He had never noticed those flowers because he was too focused on his defect, on the fact that he could not bring the water intact until the end. Yet, now that Haruto made him notice, he could see the truth in what he was saying. All that time, he had only thought of how inferior he was compared to the perfect block, without realizing that he was creating something unique and wonderful. "Master," said the block with a trembling voice, "do you mean that my defect is not a weakness?" "Exactly," replied Haruto with an affectionate smile. "What you consider a defect is actually a gift. It all depends on how you use it. Your value does not lie in the amount of water you bring to the village, but in the fact that you are able to do something that no other block could do. Without your block, those flowers would not exist. Without your defect, our path would be just a common country path. Everything has its place and purpose, even what seems useless or imperfect." The inclined block remained reflecting on these words for the rest of the journey. As Haruto slowly advanced along the path, he carefully observed the flowers that grew on his side. They were of all colors: yellow, red, blue, with delicate petals that waved in the wind. They seemed to smile at them, as if they recognized their role in their existence. The block felt a new sensation within itself, no longer shame, but a deep sense of peace and gratitude. From that day on, the block stopped worrying about his defect. Every time Haruto filled it up and headed towards the village, he focused not on the water he was losing, but on what he gave to the earth and the flowers. When the villagers admired the flowers along the path, the block felt proud. No one knew that it was the cause of that beauty, but it did not matter. Its usefulness was not visible to the eyes of others, but it existed, and it was real. The other block, perfect and impeccable too, eventually began to notice what was happening. For years, I thought I was better than you, he said one day to the inclined block. But now I understand that perfection is not everything. I bring the water intact to the village, but you have brought beauty along the path. Perhaps in a certain sense, you are the really special one. The inclined block smiled. There is no competition between us. Everyone has their own purpose. You bring the water to quench the village. I bring the flowers to nourish the soul. None of our tasks is more important than the other. And so, the old carrier continued to use both blocks, year after year. The path, which once was sterile and lifeless, became a wonderful carpet of flowers that attracted the attention of travelers and visitors. Some came on purpose to admire those vivid colors and asked Haruto how he had created such a garden along a simple country path. He always responded with a smile and a few words, with love and patience. Moral: each of us has our own imperfections, but these must not be seen as limits. Sometimes what we consider a defect is actually a source of strength and value, capable of generating beauty and meaning in ways that we never imagined. The key is to be able to recognize our role in the world and to value what we can offer without trying to be like everyone else. Even imperfections can lead to the realization of great things if we learn to accept them and use them in the right way.
Thank you for watching our video. We hope it will positively enrich your life. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and join our Mind in Evolution channel for more content like this. See you soon in the next episode.